So what happens when diplomacy just breaks down? We're diving into a scenario today that takes global relations right to the absolute edge. We're talking about a major flashpoint, the US and Venezuela. Okay, think about this for a second. What if a superpower decided to just capture another country's leader? I know, it sounds like something straight out of a movie, right? But what if it were real? Let's dig into how a crisis like that could even happen. All right, let's set the scene. The date is January 3rd, 2026. According to the source material we're looking at, this is the exact day that a standoff that's been simmering for decades just blows up, and it changes everything, practically overnight. So this whole crisis hinges on a single military operation, and it's got a name that's, well, it's pretty intense: Operation Absolute Resolve. And believe me, the goal was just as bold as the name suggests. So what went down? We're talking about a joint strike, U.S. Delta Force and the CIA hitting the ground in Caracas, Venezuela's capital. The target? President Nicolás Maduro himself. And they got him. Maduro was captured. But it wasn't a clean operation. It came at a real cost, with casualty reports ranging anywhere from 40 to 100 people.
But that brings up the big question, right? Why? Why would the U.S. do something so extreme? Well, to figure that out, you have to look past the politics. The real answer is buried in the ground. Literally. It's all about the incredible, mind-boggling wealth Venezuela is sitting on.
It really all comes down to this one number. And it's a big one, 308 billion. That's billion with a B. That's how many barrels of proven crude oil reserves Venezuela has. And proven is super important here. It means they can actually get it out of the ground and sell it. To give you some perspective, that's more than almost any other country on the planet. Now let's zoom out. What does that mean for the whole world? That 308 billion barrels, that's 17%. 17% of all the known oil on Earth. That is just a massive slice of the pie. And let me be crystal clear here. This isn't just one of the biggest, it is the biggest. The source material points to a 2025 OPEC bulletin that confirms it. Venezuela has the #1 largest proven oil reserves in the world, period. That alone puts it at the center of the geopolitical chessboard.
And you can see here, this isn't just some abstract number. This wealth is real and it's concentrated. You've got the huge Orinoco oil belt and this industrial powerhouse around Lake Maracaibo. These spots aren't just dots on a map. They are the beating heart of Venezuela's economy. And, you guessed it, a major focus for the rest of the world.
But wait, there's more. It's not just oil. Venezuela is basically a natural resource treasure chest. We're talking gold, iron ore, bauxite, you name it. It's also got a ton of rare earth elements, the stuff that powers all our modern tech. And just to top it all off, it has the 9th largest natural gas reserves on the globe. It's just stacked. So you have to wonder, how did we get here? How did a country that was once a key partner of the U.S. end up in this situation? To really get why this raid happened, we need to rewind the clock and look at how these two nations went from being allies to, well, to this. This wasn't an overnight thing. It was a slow burn, building up for decades. You know, their relationship started out pretty strong, all the way back in 1835. And for most of the 1900s, things were good. Venezuela was a reliable oil supplier for the U.S. But everything changed in 1999. That's when Hugo Chavez came to power with a very strong anti-U.S. stance, and he nationalized the oil industry. Then, under Maduro, things got even worse. The U.S. hit them with sanctions over human rights and sketchy elections, and all that tension just kept building until, bang, the 2026 breaking point.
Now, an operation like this, it doesn't just happen quietly. The second this news broke, it sent shockwaves around the planet, and every country had to pick a side, instantly drawing new lines in the sand, geopolitically speaking.
And those lines were drawn fast. You had one camp, China, Russia, Cuba, Iran, that came out immediately and condemned what the U.S. did. No mincing words. But then you had other major players, like India, who were stuck in a really tough spot. They expressed deep concern, trying to walk this tightrope between their alliances and the rules of international law.
Okay, so what? Why does this matter to the rest of us? Because something this big doesn't stay contained. The ripples spread everywhere, and it forces every country on Earth to ask some really hard questions.
The fallout is huge, and it's immediate. First off, it blows a hole in the whole idea of national sovereignty. It weakens international law, makes institutions like the UN look powerless. And of course, it pours gasoline on the fire of competition between the US, China, and Russia. And the scariest part? It could easily ignite a bigger war in the region and create a massive humanitarian disaster.
Really, it all comes down to this one phrase from the source material, a question on sovereignty. Think about it. If one country can just cross another's borders and grab their leader, what does that mean for everybody else? What's to stop it from happening again? It sets a really dangerous precedent.
And that's the thing you have to remember. Nobody is immune to this. It puts allies, like India, in a terrible bind. It rattles the global economy. The shockwaves from this one event can be felt by people and businesses thousands of miles away.
So we're left with this one final, really tough question. This whole scenario forces us to look at a pretty uncomfortable truth. When you have a country that is incredibly rich in resources, but is also incredibly unstable, who gets to write its future? The people who live there, or powerful outsiders with their own interests? There's really no simple answer to that, is there?